The LGBTQ plus community, even though they had commitment ceremonies and so forth, were single, and they expected, their mentality was that they were going to be single for the rest of their life unless they met someone. But in the eyes of the law, they had no rights as a couple. So you still have to proceed with your life, your career, your education, your investments. So, buying, property or an apartment or a condo, falls under the American dream. Doesn't matter if you're LGBTQ or not, but you follow the process. The only thing.
Let's talk real estate, everyone. Today we have Gus, who is the executive director of the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce on. Say hello, Gus.
Hey, hello. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. So we're going to be delving into a few things. Really, the intersection of the LGBTQ community and real estate. So, first of all, can you delve into what does the Pride Chamber of Commerce do? A little history, things like that.
So the New Jersey Pride Chamber of Commerce is 10 years old. It used to be known as the New Jersey LGBT Chamber of Commerce. And in 2021, they rebranded everything from the look of the logo, the color schemes, to the name. And when I was brought on as executive director, they launched it. So 2022 was the rebranding year. And if you don't know anything about chambers of commerce, New Jersey has over 124 of them. And what they specifically do is they support small to mid-sized businesses by networking to generate more clients and customers for those that are members, providing links and resources to funding. They also support and push for legislation that is business friendly, to help people expand, and then they also take a stand on legislation that will hurt businesses. So most chambers do that. The Pride Chamber, though, goes to a different level because the LGBT community in many parts of the country, including New Jersey, weren't even recognized by the state as owning businesses. It was only in 2022 that Governor Murphy's administration recognized LGBT businesses in the state by signing Executive Order 295. So that was a big step. So that's part of what we do. We, as we're growing with an online magazine and growing partnerships, you're the first person I've talked to since my last meeting today. New Jersey Transit is a partner, so just became a partner as of an hour ago. So, we're now going to be able to, not just promote what New Jersey Transit does, but what they're working for, especially specific to disadvantaged communities like the LGBT business community in the state.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. So I kind of want to delve now into that question that I had about how... Hold on. Let me reconfigure the question. From your point of view, have you seen this intersection of the LGBT community? You've seen it from the business point of view. I'm looking at it from the real estate point of view. How does the Pride Chamber of Commerce help in that intersection?
Well, actually, it's one and the same. I'll give you an example. So we are promoting, small to mid-sized businesses across the state, and we're also trying to attract new businesses to the state of New Jersey. So what's the first thing if you want to bring a business, whether it's brick and mortar, Main Street or a corporation? You need land. You need to lease, you need to buy, you need to develop. So that's the first component. And then if you're moving your business to New Jersey, what else do you need? Well, you need a place to live. So you need to find a home that's either relatively close to where you're going to build your business. And there's other things that you have to take into consideration. Schooling systems if you have a family, transit system if you're bringing in resources. So that's where the real estate and the chamber come together, because if you're coming into New Jersey as an LGBTQ entrepreneur, business owner, those are the two things that you're going to focus on. Where are you going to live, and where are you going to build your business or buy the building or the office space? For those that live in New Jersey and have grown up here, it's, you know, it's kind of similar, but not so much, because you know your state. So you're going to open up your business. Well, can I afford to be on a main street, say in Edison or Rutherford or Cape May, versus being on a side street? That's where you have to speak to, you know, realtors to find out, you know, what data do they have? What's the best traffic for my car wash, or what's the best traffic for my tech firm, my law firm, or even better yet, restaurants. So that's real estate is always key in business. It just depends on what you're looking to do: expand, invest, buy, or live.
And are you seeing, long ago, yes, there was huge hurdles for them to overcome, especially in the business world, even buying real estate together. Are you seeing still obstacles to overcome nowadays? Or does it feel like a lot of that's in the past and there's just little hurdles now that we need to like unblock?
So on the residential side, meaning, you know, where LGBTQ plus couples or individuals want to buy, it is easier. It is not perfect, because even in New Jersey, there are parts of the states that are really that are hesitant to bringing in the LGBT community, especially if they find out that someone is selling their home to a same-sex couple. However, that is not the popular mentality with the LGBT community in New Jersey. Most communities want them to buy their home in their neighborhoods, because, you know, there's statistical proof that, you know, the LGBT community invests in their property, tries to improve their property. I mean, let's talk about Asbury Park. Let's talk about, you know, Long Branch. Let's talk about Jersey City, and so forth. So there's statistical proof that, you know, most communities are inviting to LGBT residential, on the residential side. So realtors are, you know, they find the communities and they expand. And again, I'll mention Asbury Park because that's one that started with one business investment, a hotel and a lounge bar. And then from that, it grew. And then investment came from the community, investment came from the state, the county, and now you have a LGBT destination. On the business side, though, that's different. There isn't enough data to show, you know, how many LGBT business owners actually exist in the state. We can only go by our membership, but you have to see it this way. You can open up a business anywhere because, you know, you're providing a service or a product. However, do you want to, you know, buy property or land to develop your business where the LGBT community is not welcome, even though the market for your product or service would maximize there versus a place that is LGBTQ plus friendly? And so in that case, there is some hesitancy, and, you know, there is a lot of research that is being done by, you know, business owners or entrepreneurs as to where do I want to, you know, open up my business. Because then the other question is, can I put a flag out every June? Is someone going to throw a brick through my window, or, you know, graffiti on the wall, or just completely boycott my business? And these are true stories that have
it happened to one of my clients. I'm not telling you the names of the towns, but they're moving from one town because they said it's not anti, it's just not pro. And I was like, okay, well, here's a list of towns. And they're like, not that town. Not that area. Let's go for this area, this area, this area. And I was like, I totally get it. And even when showing them the house, not the houses, the spots for their business, I had to take into my mind, I was like, I wonder how the landlord's going to react.
Right.
The landlord was really cool. So God bless. But there's still that momentary hesitation.
And there's also limitations too, because just because you're LGBTQ doesn't mean that you have a bottomless pot of money. You still have to find out, can you financially afford it? You know, the cost, the taxes, the insurance on both the residential side and the business side. So when you're buying real estate, so that also may limit the other options that may be more friendly to the LGBT community. So, but for the most part, on the residential side, it has improved greatly, especially in the state of New Jersey, which is clear. On the business side, there's still a little hesitancy, and there's more, so you may not want to open your business in a certain space, but financially you may not have another option.
I kind of wanted to delve into this one interesting thing, and we talked about this right before we came on, was that I've discovered through my lead generation practices differences between the LGBTQ community and like the cisgender, which is I do a lot of wedding expos, and I really love doing them. It's very fun, but there was something that myself and my colleague have noticed, which is for like the bridal shows, the cisgender, things like that. Not cisgender, you know what I mean. I'm tired. For the bridal shows for like heterosexual couples, what we were noticing was that these brides and grooms were very much looking long term. Their next step is to get married, then 2 years down the road buy a house, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas the LGBTQ wedding expos, we discovered people were coming up saying, I already own a place. I need to sell this condo in order to move in with my fiance. We both own homes. It's a very different approach that we discovered. There are different points in their life.
Correct. You have to understand that, it's still, there still isn't enough data collected. The LGBTQ plus community, even though they had commitment ceremonies and so forth, were single, and they expected, their mentality was that they were going to be single for the rest of their life unless they met someone. But in the eyes of the law, they had no rights as a couple. So you still have to proceed with your life, your career, your education, your investments. So, buying, property or an apartment or a condo, falls under the American dream. Doesn't matter if you're LGBTQ or not, but you follow the process. The only thing that you omit is that period of time that the heterosexual community, still live with their parents, usually only move out for school, and then they come back, and then the next time they move out is when they're getting married. But their focus is not on property, is not on, buying something. They're in that one part that was always excluded to the LGBTQ plus community. That actually, and I don't have any data to prove what I'm about to say, but it kind of makes sense. That's one of the reasons why for a while everyone said, well, the LGBT community has a lot of expendable income. It did, and it still does to some extent, because a part of what some people say is the normal American life was denied to them. And as things change now, you'll see there'll be a little bit of a balancing act. But for the most part, once an LGBTQ person was able to afford something, they bought it. So it becomes an asset, and real estate is always the go-to. Aside from bank accounts, real estate seems to be the one most popular. If you live in a city, you want to own your apartment. If you live in the suburbs, you want to own your condo or your house. And then, of course, with the heterosexual community, the wedding itself is going to, generate significant amounts of dollars as gifts, which will help you then buy your first house as a couple. So there's tradition, and then the tradition that was denied to us, but now I figure another generation, which is another 10 years, should basically, you'll begin to see better data, and you'll actually see the expendable dollars that the LGBT community have kind of balance out a little bit, because of the younger LGBT generations that are coming up are now going to, I'm planning to marry instead of, just working and depositing my money and buying.
I'm just going to put it all towards a house.
Right.
Oh, I'm not going to be having kids. I'm not going to be getting married. I'm going to put it all towards buying my car, buying my house, going on vacation. Right. Suddenly, they're able to be within this structure. Mm-hmm. They can have kids. They can have a house. They can have a marriage.
Well, but real estate has always been a go-to when, and most people don't understand. It's like, in their mid to late 20s and early 30s, they already own property without being married and single.
I bought a house.
Well, but that's key. But that will change now that people are now going to add into their younger lives, kids, like you said, kids, weddings, and so forth.
There's going to be that question that I'll ask, which is, what is the question that you wish I had asked, and how would you answer?
Well, the one question that I'm asking everyone I speak to is, what data do you have, or does your organization have on LGBT homeowners in the state or in the region that you work? Because in New Jersey, you would think, we're accepting and we're diverse. There's very little, if any, data on anything. Homeowners that are LGBT or identify as LGBT, investment properties owned by LGBT, the medium, value of the home, where in New Jersey they're clustered. I mean, we have an idea of where the businesses are based on our membership, which is Asbury, Cherry Hill, Monmouth County, Atlantic City, Asbury Park, and so forth. But that's just because of our membership, which is a small percentage. But data. And then if I were the person being asked that question, I would say you're right. We don't have data, but we should begin to find a way to collect data, not too aggressively, because I know in real estate it's about building a relationship. But if you have a form that people check out, like what are they looking for, how much money they have to spend, a deposit, saying, optional, do you identify as an LGBT couple or a non-LGBT couple? Just because the data is going to be able to provide information to future generations on where, you can actually predict how real estate values are going to increase by the percentage of LGBT property owners. So that's a positive thing. You can also notice the areas that have no or very little, and you have to ask the question, well, why can't I bring my clients to this area? I mean, it's great homes, great schools. Like, what's the barrier? And then that goes beyond real estate. But there should be no area in this country that should be restricted from any LGBT or any diverse group to buy. But that's what I would ask, is the whole data question, because in New Jersey, there's very little data on anything specific to LGBTQ.
So, Gus, how do people get a hold of you?
So we tell everyone to go to our website, which is www.njpridechamber.org. And then you can literally email all of the board members, myself included as executive director. You'll see everything that we've done, what's coming up, all of the funding opportunities for entrepreneurs, and more. So if you go to our website, you can also check out our social media, which all the links are also on the bottom end of the homepage. And, we generally reply within 24 hours. Most of the board is volunteer, but, we do our best to make sure that the LGBTQ plus community is heard, respected, and, of course, has a seat at the table to benefit from all the projects.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming on today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Cool.